Hello and welcome back to another episode of the PDHPE and CAFS podcast. You're with me, Kel Bell, and it's my absolute pleasure today to share with you some really effective study techniques for your students to implement at exam time, or if they're working towards an assessment task for trials or Year 11 exams. And as we know, the end game, which is the HSC, it's my absolute pleasure to share with you some of these tips and strategies and techniques that my students have used when I was in the classroom for 16 years. And now I get to share these with our Year 12 and Year 11 students across New South Wales in PDHPE CAFS and soon to be health and movement science. So very exciting times ahead. So look, this is a common question I do get asked. Kelly, what do I do? How do I actually study? I'm really good at, working in class, but I really find it hard to study at home. What's your best advice? Now, if you asked me this advice a really long time ago when I was a student, I went to Catherine Macaulay at Westmead. My HSC was in 1999, showing my age there. But studying for me looked like reading my notes on our balcony in Balcombe Hills, sunbaking. Now, as a PE teacher now, that's not best practice for two reasons, being in the sun, unprotected, but also just reading the notes is not an effective way to study. And, conversations that I've had in the last 16 years in the classroom and 4 years as an educator outside of the classroom, working with schools and students, kids always say to me, I've read through my notes, what else should I do? I'm going to say out loud, it's not about the notes. It's never about the notes, because the notes are your way to summarize information that you've been given in class, that you've explored, that you've applied, that you've learnt. But to regurgitate that and to just simply read it off that sheet, that's not effective study. Now, all the techniques and strategies that I share with you, I dive deeper into these in our master classes, but I've developed an acronym to help you remember these very effectively. So if you're a student of PDHPE, CAFS or HMS, hopefully these will be really simple, straightforward strategies. And if you're a teacher, I welcome you to share these with your students, and I'll develop some posters and stuff for you to actually use in class. So head to thelearnnet.com/revision and you'll get access to a PDF which includes these very simple strategies. So the first one is to simply read your notes and review your content regularly. So if you're a teacher or if you're teaching your kids certain content, it's really important for them to go home that afternoon or on the bus and read the content, read what you've actually done. And you need to then put it into some sort of summary or some sort of way that makes sense to you. So I know for me, I did do this in year 11 and 12. I would go, bit of a nerd, yes. On the bus, I'd read through what I did that day and I'd kind of go home and read over it again. I would kind of summarize what I had done that day, like in my own words, to make sense for me. But then I'll just read it again. I wouldn't actually do anything with it. So it's really important that you're reading your notes, you're reading your resources, you're revising and you're reviewing regularly, not just in the lead up to exams, not just in the lead up to assessment tasks, but actually doing little bite-sized bits every single day. You need to have a break at some point. There are weekends in there, but it's really important that you're going to go over it really regularly. Okay, the next one is E is to engage with multiple choice. Multiple choice, although it's there in front of you, it's really important for you to go over those. Give yourself as much opportunity as possible to do past HSC questions, past your 11 exams, past assessments with multiple choice. Find lots of ways to do multiple choice practice, because this is one of the things that regular practice of multiple choice helps you actually understand the content, helps you understand the skills and to unpack what multiple choice looks like. So as a teacher, it's important for you to show the kids what multiple choice looks like in an exam, in the HSC, in an assessment task, and for you to actually show the kids step by step what they're looking for. I have another way to attack multiple choice. We might do that next week, but it's really important for you to go through those. You know, they've got a 1 in 4 chance, but they've been developed very uniquely, every single option that is on that page, for a specific reason. So make sure students are engaging with multiple choice regularly. And what I'd really encourage you to do is actually make that part of your everyday practice in class. So, you know, quickly whip out, 5 multiple choice questions, quickly develop one on the board, have a look at a past HSC, and don't just do it with the content. So if we're looking at CAFS, if we're doing parenting and caring, make sure we revise parenting and caring maybe later on, or groups in context in parenting and caring, or go back to research methodology when we're looking at groups in context. It's really important that regular practice is going to help our kids. So the third way, the third technique is to vary your studying techniques. Now, my studying techniques, as I mentioned previously, was sunbaking on our balcony. That was very ineffective. I didn't really learn much. It went in one ear, out the other. And that's probably why my HSC or my average results are around the 70s, mid 70s, because I didn't really retain much. So it's really important that you're going to vary your technique. So different techniques. I know my younger sister, she's 9 years younger than me. She used a whiteboard that was my sister, who's 2 years apart. She used a whiteboard in our garage, and she had like notes and studying and different things, different visuals. My younger sister, she used a lot of audio. So she put that into her ears. I know students I've taught before, audio works really well. If you record yourself in your phone and then you listen back at night to your revision, or going through different things or giving examples, that type of thing. I'm a very visual learner. I know that now more that I work at home, and I really, when I'm Googling something, if I'm doing some research, I'll go straight to images and I'll find a visual of it, and the visual makes sense to me. And then I'll go back in and I'll actually read the information. So it's quite interesting, even, 16 years after, being a teacher, I've only just uncovered that I'm a very visual learner, that those visuals are important to me. So if you're a teacher, using different symbols in class, acronyms are our go-to. What I'd really encourage you with the acronyms is that don't be so hell-bent on learning all of them. They're simply a memory aid for you as a student, for you as a teacher to use them in your classroom. But they're not the be-all and end-all that lots of students and lots of HSC teachers talk about, because if you write the acronym on a page, it doesn't make any sense if you don't actually provide any content or context for that acronym. So if you write something like TV Rose in your PDHPE exam, or if you write Fat Leach in your CAFS exam, yes, teachers are going to kind of know what they mean, but you haven't actually provided any content. It's really important you actually unpack those. In terms of other techniques, you might teach someone. So you might, maybe record yourself, or use your pets at home. Use mum or dad or carer or younger sisters to listen to, or brother to help you revise as you're going through. Colour is also really important. I've had students in the past develop their study notes in a Google Doc in line with the syllabus. So I'll learn about Learn 2 for CAFS. Our HMS have key inquiry questions and content points. So I'd actually encourage you to colour code different things and set up your notes, as a teacher, set up your notes and resources with some sort of colour. And then when the kids are in an exam, they'll kind of, that colour, that visual will send that message to then decode and kind of grab that information. So varying your techniques is important. The I. So implement some sort of timetable or plan of attack before the kids actually start revision. So that timetable might look like every afternoon I read my notes. Maybe 6 weeks out before our exam, we're going to implement this study timetable. With a study timetable, again, it's really important to have breaks. It's important to have variety. It's really important to be able to maybe study with your peers, with your classmates, or other people from different schools, but some sort of timetable that kind of keeps you on track. And there's lots of online resources for that. You can create a Google Doc. You can put something in Canva, make it look beautiful, color code it, giving yourself lots of breaks, time in nature, make sure you're kind of embedding all those things. Really good kids I've taught before, who achieved really good results, high band 5s, band 6s, the duxes of the school, kids that come back and talk to past students. One of the common things that they talk about is having that balance in their life. I know for me as a student, I had that balance. I worked part-time. I had a boyfriend who's now my husband. I did lots of sports still. I still played OzTag and netball and did athletics, all those sorts of things. But for the kids that, that come back to school and talk about their results and their achievements, it's often those kids who, had that balance are the ones who, they have a lot of things in their life to keep them balanced, not just studying all the time. Okay, S is for seek support and feedback. You as a teacher, it's really important to support the kids, but for them to support each other. Remember, you're in it together. The kids are there as the cohort. It's not class versus class. That's a common thing that I see, that Mrs. class or Sir's class is doing better than us. No, that competition has to be taken out of schools. You're against the state. You're not against each other. It's really important for you to lift that average across your class, because, the better the kids go, the better the whole cohort goes together. So you want to have, a spread of marks at the top. You don't want to have, a kid in the night like 92s all the way down to 50. You want to bring that average up. So there's only, that those top kind of marks to filter out across your cohort. You want the kids to be working together. I would often say to my classes, hey, like we're like a team. I'm your coach. I'm there to guide and mentor you along the way. And you're the team. You guys need to work together as a team. It's not a competition against each other or against the state. We need to all lift together. And obviously seeking feedback. It's really important for you as an educator. And I get that there's that balance that you can't always provide lots of feedback. It has to be timely. It's, unrealistic to give the kids to give you a day to give feedback. But if you offer that feedback, please make sure you're using different tools to help show to the kids what they could include, and use my win feedback strategy, what they've done well, what they can do to improve, and then necessary actions to actually improve, to take on. So having that feedback is really important. Feedback from each other as well, not just you as the teacher doing it all, but the kids actually giving feedback to each other. And that can be like a visual. It can be using highlighters. Our glue strategy is a really good one to decode a response. It can be, like a little sticker, which kind of has a few points on it. It can be a stamp. Lots of different ways to give effective feedback there. Okay, the I is include practice time. And I think this is probably the most strongest strategy to take on board. And that's looking at questions that the students can actually answer. And it's questions that they're going to be able to show the marker, show what they know. That application of content is really, really important. That's why I always say it's not about the notes. It's about applying your understanding as a student, applying your understanding of the content to a question. So it's really important that you're going to choose questions that haven't been examined before in the HSC or exams, because effectively the kids will never get those questions ever again. They might get something similar or some kind of content that is connected, but they won't actually get that question ever again. The exam has been developed to examine our kids on unseen questions that haven't been examined before. So, of course, there has to be some sort of opportunity for the kids to show what they know, and it's really important for them to practice using unseen questions. So I know for me, when I was in the classroom, probably for the best part of my career, I'll give the kids past HSC questions, which most of us do. And that's completely okay to do that. That's a really good strategy. But it has to also incorporate questions that the kids have never seen before, that have never been examined before as well, not just past HSC questions. And again, we can do lots of things with revision around that. Okay, O stands for organize your notes and material. The kids are given so many resources, excuse me, and it's really important for them to be able to have a look at the resources and then decode it and put it into summaries that make sense to them. So look, I remember just before I left the classroom, I had this beautiful student, Beth, who actually wrote her study notes as I taught the class. So rather than go home every afternoon or wait to just before the trials, or we had half-yearly exams back then, wait before those exams, she actually did her study notes in class, because if we went through some content, she would then put it in her notes, and her notes were color-coded. I think back then she might have had the learn about and the learn to, and then her study notes or her content, I suppose, in the middle. And that was a really great strategy. Beth ended up getting a band 6 for CAFS and a band 5 for PDHPE, a really high band 5. So it worked for her, and it worked for many of my students to have notes that looked like that were color-coded, that their materials were very organized. Rather than some kids, I'm sure you've taught these sort of kids who have folders and bits of paper, and they kind of rummage through all these little bits and like, oh, Miss, where's that sheet? I really loved the way you did this. Or, so where's that table that we did for the energy systems? Having it all together is really important. So having that organization. The kids could have physical folders for each of their content if they like to print stuff off. Some kids like that. Some kids are very happy to revise off their screen, off their typed up notes, whether it's in a Google Drive or color-coded Google Drive, highlighted on the screen, whatever works for the kids, as long as they're actually organising and making sure all the material is together. And the last one is to name and apply our glossary of keywords. So if you've heard me talk about the glossary of keywords before, you'll know how important they are, how much of a difference, how much of an impact they make for our kids. I think when you look at marking guidelines, and obviously, 16 years as a HSC marker, 5 of those as a supervisor of marking for CAFS, and being involved in lots of revision days for CAFS and PDHPE, and soon to be HMS, this is one thing that our kids still struggle with a lot. And I think it's because we're still not doing enough of it in class. We either think the kids know what the glossary of keywords are, or perhaps we might not know what they are actually involved with. So if you would love a resource to help you with this, head to thelearnnet.com/unlock the secrets. So thelearnnet.com/unlock the secrets. And it's a PDF which unlocks the secrets to the glossary of keywords, because there's a lot of, there's a lot of mystery around them. A lot of people think that the kids, when they're discussing something, they should be evaluating something and having judgments in there. I'm like, no, that's actually not what discuss is. Or when they're analysing, they just need to look at the relationship between things. No, they actually need to look at the implication of those relationships. So the PDF that I have for you, thelearnnet.com/unlock the secrets, like a key, will very much help you with the resources and stuff that you need to help actually teach the glossary of keywords, break it down, show the kids, decode it, make sense of it for them, and making sure you're kind of using a variety of those glossary of keywords, all the way from identify and outline, all the way up to analyze the hardest ones. So I know there are schools out there that talk about we're an alarm school. There's no badge that you need to have as an alarm school. And if you're not teaching alarm effectively, then the kids won't get the glossary of keywords. So to me, for the kids to understand it, they need to know that there are different glossary of keywords that guide their response, that guide, what the marker is looking for. And they need to know the words and the expressions and the language to use in their answer to really show the marker that they're actually applying their understanding of the glossary of keyword. And that's the biggest thing that's missing, that application. So let's quickly revise. Let's quickly unpack our steps to revision, effective revision, and that's using our acronym revision. So read and review regularly, engage with multiple choice, vary your techniques for studying for revision, implement a timetable, a schedule, a plan of attack, way before you need to even have your exams. Seek support and feedback along the way. How are you going? Let's maybe hand in some practice questions. Here's your A4 exercise book that you're going to write all of these answers in. Include some sort of practice time to actually write. It could be a timed practice. It could be 5 minutes. Here's a 5 marker, you've got 6 minutes, or here's a 10 marker, you've got, 12 minutes, whatever it might be. Having that time schedule is important in that practice. Unseen questions as well. Organize your notes and materials. Make sure the kids have everything they need. And obviously things like OneNote and Google Drive are perfect for that. So you can upload it, Google Classroom. It's all in one spot. And for the kids to actually know and name and apply the glossary of keywords. But you as a teacher need to actually explicitly teach that. So that's revision in a nutshell for the kids to actually prepare for their exams, their assessment tasks, the trial, the HSE. And at the time of our podcast, we have trials looming in 2024 for the HSE. So these are very timely strategies for you to implement as a busy classroom teacher. But of course, to pass those off to the kids as well. If you would love the PDF that goes with this podcast, the learnnet.com/revision is where you need to head to access this simple PDF, which covers all of our strategies to revision. So I hope that you have enjoyed today's podcast episode. Please don't hesitate to reach out. I would love to hear from you what you would like to hear next. We will be covering a lot of things this term about revision and studying, health and movement science, CAFS, PDHPE, our K to 6 syllabus has been released. 7 to 10 is just around the corner. So thanks so much for listening. I hope you have the most amazing week, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks so much.